1 month, I closed 8 deals, 8 closings in 1 month. That's over $50,000 in commissions. And I never even went in to collect the checks. Hey, good people, welcome to The Retired Hustler, the series where we leave survival mode behind and learn to live life on God's pace. If you're new here, I'm Amani, and this space is all about healing from hustle, choosing joy, and remembering who we really are underneath the grind. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because we're building a community, not just a following. There was a time when I was making money, but I wasn't making sense. I was booked, busy, and barely breathing. And somehow the $5,000 wins and the $50,000 wins felt the same, like nothing. Just another task, another thing to survive. I don't think we talk enough about what happens when your body is present, but your mind is in crisis. That was my life for a long time. Hustling, grabbing opportunities, launching things, taking calls, saying yes, always saying yes. I didn't start that way though. I started with a dream, a fire, a belief that I was going to build something special. I was excited, but somewhere along the way, survival took over. Or maybe survival was always there, silently calling all the shots. I'll never forget 1 month, I closed 8 deals, 8 closings in 1 month. That's over $50,000 in commissions. And I never even went in to collect the checks. My office manager literally called me, almost begging me to come in. She told me, "You have to deposit these. They're just sitting here." I walked in, smiled, took the picture, made the deposit, and I went right back to grinding. No celebration, no pause, no break. That's not discipline. That's hustle. That's stress. That's anxiety. When you're in survival mode, every dollar is just a delay to the next fear. I wasn't thinking about peace. I was thinking, what if this is the last time I ever make money? So I kept going. More yeses, more closes, more approving. That month taught me something I didn't want to admit. I had become numb. I was so disconnected from joy that even $50,000 didn't feel like a win. Because when you're in survival mode, nothing ever feels safe enough to rest. And if you're watching this, maybe you've been there too. I wasn't just working hard, I was working scared. And scared decisions don't feel any different, whether there's $5,000 or $50,000 attached. Because it's not the money, it's the mentality. I couldn't feel the difference between overflow and just enough because I never felt safe enough to slow down and say, let me breathe and let me enjoy this. God didn't create me to chase. He created me to steward, to live, to be present. But first, I had to unlearn everything hustle culture taught me. I had to let go of the idea that I was only valuable when I was producing, that success only meant speed, that worth was measured in closings and compliments. So if you're wondering how I got here, this was it. I followed the rules of hustle culture to the letter. I hit the numbers, I got the applause, and I still found myself exhausted, anxious, and unfulfilled. The longer story, we'll get into that next. But if you've ever mistaken survival for success, if you ever cried after the win or ever felt numb after the breakthrough, you're not alone, you're not broken, you're just tired of surviving. And I believe this: God's grace is big enough to lead you out. I remember one of the clearest moments I said yes out of fear. A client came to me to list their home. After running comps, I knew the price they wanted was severely overpriced for the area. No one was going to pay that number. It wasn't just unrealistic, it was impossible. I said yes anyway. Even though I knew it wouldn't sell, even though I knew it would be a waste of my time, I said yes because I didn't want to lose the listing. I didn't want to disappoint them, and truthfully, I was afraid I wouldn't get another client right after. The next few weeks were some of the most stressful of my career. The clients called me every single day blaming me for their house not selling. I explained over and over it was overpriced, but they didn't want to hear it. And honestly, neither did I. I had ignored my own gut to protect their ego and my own insecurity. That yes didn't bless me, it stressed me. And that's what fear does. It has you saying yes to things you were never meant to carry. It has you working overtime to fix something you were never supposed to start. And worst of all, it makes you think it's your fault when it falls apart. I remember one week I had 4 closings, 2 coaching calls, a vision board event I was hosting, and I was helping a friend launch her business at the same time. And here's what's wild. I was single, no kids, no partner, no team, just me. And a to-do list that never ended. And still, I was tired in my bones. I couldn't remember the last time I ate without checking my phone. I didn't even feel excited when the checks hit because by the time they came, I was already chasing the next thing. I wasn't resting, I was recovering. I wasn't living, I was coping through performance. When I stepped away from the hustle, I thought I'd find peace, but the first thing I felt was lost because for so long hustle was my identity. It told me who I was, it told me I was needed, it told me I mattered. So without it, I didn't know what to do with myself. When people would ask, "So what do you do?" I used to have an answer with 5 commas in it: a realtor, a speaker, a coach, a consultant, a business owner. Now, I didn't know how to say, "I'm learning how to be." The silence was loud, the stillness felt strange, but I knew it was necessary. I had to face the question I had been avoiding for years: who am I when I'm not performing? Who am I when I'm not producing? Who am I without the applause? At first, I kept trying to replace hustle with hobbies: biking, baking, reorganizing, but eventually I realized I wasn't called to just fill time. I was called to live on purpose. That's when I started redefining what success meant to me. Not numbers, not noise, not public praise, but inner peace, alignment, joy that wasn't tied to a launch date. I had to reintroduce myself to myself. I started asking, what do I actually like? What brings me joy without needing an audience? What does God say about who I am? I sat with scriptures I only used to post. I let them read me. Be still and know that I am God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the light of the world. Not your brand, not your work, you. I stopped chasing and started receiving. I found beauty in slow mornings, in skincare, in walks with my baby instead of rush hour and sitting in traffic, and talks with my husband that didn't lead to content. I don't need to be the girl who does it all. I want to be the woman who lives well. I want to be the mom who's present, the wife who laughs, the friend who listens, the daughter of God who obeys even when it's quiet. Redefining me meant releasing everything I built from survival and trusting that God would restore what was actually mine. I'm no longer asking, how can I be successful? I'm asking, how can I be faithful? And in that place, I'm starting to thrive. I'm walking you into how I built a new rhythm, one that honors my peace, my purpose, and my people. The version of you that's coming out of this, she's rooted, she's radiant, she's rested, and she's ready. When I stopped hustling, I didn't just need rest. I needed a rhythm, one that didn't pull me in every direction, one that honored my season, my capacity, and my calling. I had to unlearn the idea that rest was only for the tired, that joy was only for weekends, that stillness meant laziness, because hustle taught me how to grind, but never how to live. So I started building a life that felt like me, not for the algorithm, not for applause, but for real peace. I created a schedule, not routines to control my day, but rhythms that helped me feel anchored. I made my mornings sacred. I stopped saying yes to urgency. I blocked time for beauty, for joy, and stillness like it was revenue generating, because it is. You don't realize how much noise you were tolerating until you start protecting your peace. Here's what rhythm looks like now. Mornings with God, not Instagram. Prioritizing food that energizes me, not punishes me. Decorating my space, getting dressed, even if I'm not going anywhere special. Moving my body out of love and not shame. Playing, resting, creating, feeling. This is living. This is luxury. This is my rhythm. I used to plan my life around money. Now I plan it around meaning. The truth is, I don't want a life I have to escape from. I want a life I can enjoy while I'm in it. So I stopped trying to do more and I started doing what actually matters. I no longer chase busy. I chase alignment. If it costs my peace, it's too expensive. If it doesn't honor my home, my health, or my faith, it's no. A new rhythm is not about perfection. It's about being present. And I've learned the most successful version of me is the one who knows when to pause, the one who laughs more, the one who knows peace is a strategy, the one who lives for legacy and not likes. In the next chapter, I'm showing you how this rhythm changed everything. My creativity, my income, and my joy became sustainable. What happens when you stop forcing and start flowing? I used to believe overflow came from overworking. that more money meant more hours, that more opportunities meant more pressure. But then I stopped forcing, I stopped chasing, and the most surprising thing happened. I started receiving. When I got in alignment mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, I didn't lose opportunities. I attracted the right ones, the ones that honor my peace, the ones that didn't require me to shrink, perform, or overextend. I stopped cold calling. I stopped auditioning for rooms God didn't even build for me. I focused on being well, and wellness made me magnetic. I remember the month I worked the least and made the most. I wasn't glued to my phone. I wasn't attending every event. I wasn't even posting every day. But I was in flow. I was aligned. I was listening to God, to my body, and the right opportunities came. The right checks came. The right people came. I didn't have to force a single thing. My home got better. My mind got clearer. My creativity came back. I started building with joy, not just discipline. That's the thing about alignment. It doesn't just bless your bank account, it blesses your atmosphere. When you're in survival mode, 5,000 and 50,000 feel the same because either way you're exhausted. But when you're in alignment, even less feels like more because you're not drained. This is your permission slip to stop trying so hard, not because you're lazy, but because the doors God has for you won't require self-abandonment to open. I used to believe grind was the only way to be great. Now I know God's way is better. Aligned abundance looks like this: creating without fear, no without guilt, resting without apology, earning without exhaustion. That's the life I'm building. That's the life I want for you. I'll show you how I keep my cup full, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. You'll learn how I'm important to others without going dry. This isn't about building a brand anymore. This is about becoming a woman who's truly well. We talk a lot about filling your cup, but what we don't talk about is how to stay full. Not just once a year on vacation, but daily, regularly, and intentionally. I used to live on empty. I pour for everyone else, clients, followers, family, and leave scraps for myself because I thought being strong meant being selfless. I thought being successful meant being sacrificial. But now I live rooted, and that's what makes me radiant. These are the things that fill me up now. Time with God, doing my skincare, laying on the floor, playing with my baby, not looking at a clock, taking the long way home, long drives, decorating my house. You can't pour from an empty cup, but you also don't have to wait until you're depleted to refill. You deserve rhythms that keep you full. This is your invitation to stop outsourcing your joy. Stop performing your peace. Stop waiting for permission to slow down. You don't owe the world the explanation for your peace. You just need to protect it. There was a time I'd have 3 closings in a day, skip meals, and still try to go live. But now I ask myself one simple question: will it cost me my peace? If yes, it's a no. Living from overflow looks like saying I'll get to it tomorrow and meaning it. Not rushing through rest. Choosing peace over pressure daily. Honoring my bandwidth, my body, and my boundaries. You deserve to rest. You don't have to prove your peace. You just have to believe you're worthy of it. And you are. The version of me who lived on fumes is gone. I'm not interested in appearing powerful while feeling empty. I'm rooted. I'm radiant. And it's not because I do more, it's because I'm well. I'm learning how to create a life that won't collapse when the lights slow down, when life changes, or when the hustle tries to call me back. I used to think if I could just find the right strategy, I'd finally feel secure. Maybe if I could hit this number, post this consistently, stay relevant enough, I wouldn't feel like it all could disappear overnight. But now I'm in a season where I'm asking, what am I really building? I don't have all the answers. Some days I still fall into old habits of rushing, overdoing, trying to prove something. But I'm learning to pause. I'm learning to question where my foundation actually is. Because I don't want to keep rebuilding every time something shifts. I don't want my peace to crumble because the algorithm changes or a deal doesn't go through. I want something deeper, something solid, something that doesn't shake. I remember closing my laptop one night, looking around at all the things I built and wondering, why do I still feel unstable? I had the income, the visibility, the engagement, but not the peace. And that's when it hit me. Maybe I built the house, but not on the rock. So now I'm trying to do that part, slowly, intentionally rebuilding, this time with God at the center. Not the metrics, not the hustle, not the pressure. I'm figuring out what building on the rock actually looks like. when you still need income, when you still want growth, when you're still healing from attaching your worth to what you produce. And I don't always get it right, but I'm noticing when I slow down and I check in with myself, with God, I make better choices. I don't overcommit. I don't say yes just to prove I'm still relevant. I breathe and I trust. If you're in a place where you feel like you've had to start over, or maybe you're still running at full speed, afraid to slow down, I get it. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're just invited to build something different. And I'm right there with you. I still want to grow. I still love to create. I still get excited about goals. But now I ask, is this rooted or is this a reaction? The one question has been helping me say no without guilt and yes without fear. I'm learning how to rebuild with God. Not perfectly, not instantly, but intentionally. Not for the applause, not for the algorithm, but for the woman I'm becoming, for the home I'm nurturing, for the kind of life I want to last. I'm unpacking what it means to just be, constantly shape shifting or performing, but existing, thriving, and moving from a place of wholeness. And truthfully, that's a lesson I'm still walking through too. Becoming her. It's not a glow up. It's not a photo shoot. It's not the matching sets, the PR boxes, or the clean countertops. For me, becoming her looks like sitting in the mess and choosing me anyway. Choosing rest over guilt, choosing honesty over performance, choosing God's pace instead of the algorithms. I'm not all the way there. I still get caught performing sometimes. I still overthink my posts. I still look at what everyone else is doing and wonder if I'm falling behind. But lately I've been asking, what if her isn't someone I have to chase? What if her is already here under the layers I've been peeling back? I used to think becoming meant doing more content, more sales, more validation. But honestly, becoming her is looking more like doing less, listening more, slowing down, unlearning the version of success that nearly stole my joy. The other day, I canceled something I normally would have forced myself to push through. No dramatic reason, I just didn't have it in me. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself. That felt like her. I'm not here to pretend I've figured it out. Some days I still try to outperform my insecurities. Some days I spiral in silence. Some days I still attach my worth to what I got done. But I'm healing. And that healing looks like staying home more, laughing slower, letting the dishes sit so I can rest my body, choosing to be instead of always be doing. I think becoming her is just becoming honest. Yourself, with your boundaries, with your joy, with God. Because when I stopped trying to perform for the version of me I thought I had to be, I found the woman I actually am. And she's not perfect, but she's real and she's enough. I don't hustle for identity anymore. I don't grind for approval. I don't keep receipts to prove I'm worthy. I'm becoming her slowly, beautifully, truthfully, and I'm learning to love the woman I meet at every stage of the process. No pressure, no race, just presence. I want to talk to you about the invisible work, the parts of healing, growing, mothering, evolving that don't get shared. The prayers, the tears, the discipline, the stuff that makes the visible life real. Everyone claps for the launch, the rebrand, the soft glow of peace, but this one's for the stuff that never makes it to the feed. The invisible work, the kind no one celebrates. You know what's hard to post? Forgiving someone who never apologized. Tithing when the budget is tight. Shutting your laptop even when you're behind. Letting a comment go that once would have triggered you. There's no filter for that. There's no trending sound, but that's the real work. I used to think growth was loud. A big move, a viral post, a relaunch. Now I know growth is quiet. Growth is not replying when your ego wants to. Growth is choosing joy when disappointment knocks. Growth is staying consistent even when no one claps. One night after putting my daughter to sleep, I sat in the dark and just cried. Not because anything was wrong, but because I was tired and healing. And I realized no one was going to validate that part. And I was still proud of me. You don't need a story slide to prove you're doing the work. You don't need to post your prayers to prove you're spiritual. You don't need to prove anything. The invisible work is sacred. It's where God does his best work. Not in the reels, not in the room, but in the quiet, yes. I'm learning to celebrate the unseen, choosing gentleness over gossip, choosing Sabbath over stress, choosing patience over pressure. Not because it's cute, but because it's kingdom. I'm not here to be impressive. I'm here to be intentional. That's the kind of influence I want to have, the kind that's rooted in the quiet stuff, the stuff God sees, the stuff that heals me, the stuff I never need to prove. Maybe you're doing the invisible work right now, too. Maybe you're setting boundaries that no one sees. Maybe you're praying, resting, forgiving, and it feels like no one notices. God notices. And that's more than enough. Because when you're no longer trying to prove anything, you stop sprinting towards anything and everything. That's when I realized I wasn't just tired, I was trained to hurry, conditioned to confuse chaos with success. So now I'm slowing all the way down. Urgency used to run my life. I was told, and it told me, I was late. If I didn't move fast, I missed out. But peace doesn't move like that. Neither does purpose. I want to stop living like I'm behind. When you stop glorifying burnout, when you finally give yourself permission, you move slow. The world taught me to rush. Hustle culture called it ambition, but God called it anxiety. I used to think urgency meant I was serious about my goals, serious about success, serious about being her. But rushing didn't make me feel her. It didn't make me feel like I was becoming her. It made me sick, tired, and numb, and constantly chasing something that just felt right out of reach. I'd answer emails at red lights, work through lunch, skip rest days, sleep with my jaw clenched and my mind racing. I thought I was being efficient, but really I was just afraid of falling behind and afraid of being forgotten. Slowing down wasn't easy at first. It felt like failure, like I was missing something important. I was doing life wrong. But I started asking new questions. What if I'm already on time? What if peace is my new pace? What if the rush is the lie? There was a day recently that dinner wasn't made, my emails weren't answered, my daughter was a little fussy, and nothing was right. Old me would have spiraled, rushed to bedtime just to check more boxes. But this time, I just breathed. I let go. I reminded myself we're not behind, we're becoming. The truth is, rushing never gave me what I wanted. It just stole what I already had. Clarity, joy in the small things, time with those I love, time with God. These days, I trust God. I'm not going to miss what's meant for me. The best things can't be microwaved. I'm not in a race. I'm with Him. I'm in rhythm. I used to wear urgency like a badge of honor. Now I'm unlearning the lie that says I have to hurry to be worthy. I don't hustle for peace anymore. I walk with it. And whenever it stops, I stop too. That shift created space I didn't even know I needed. And once the noise cleared, I started to hear something else, a whisper I hadn't heard in a long time. What if you could enjoy this life? Not just manage it, not just survive it, but really enjoy it. That's wild how hustle culture can make joy feel optional. It's a reward we only earn when we've suffered enough. But what if joy is the medicine? What if joy is the assignment? I'm unlearning the guilt around laughing too long, around doing something just because it feels good. We're reclaiming joy, the simple kind, the small moments, the wasted time that turns out to be the most meaningful. Because life isn't just about goals, it's about glimpses of heaven here on earth. I used to think joy was something I had to earn after the emails were answered, after the goals were met, after the grind. But lately, I've been doing things just because they make me smile. Hustle culture told me joy was optional, something I could circle back to later, but later never came. And without even realizing it, I started confusing rest with laziness, fun with waste, and joy with distraction. Until I realized I don't want to live a life that's only about what gets me ahead. I want to live a life that makes me grateful to be alive. The other day, I sat and did my makeup. No, not for content, not for a brand, just because. I used to feel guilty about that. Like I should be doing something important or productive. But now I understand joy is important. Joy reminds me I'm not just a brand. I'm not just a wife or a mom. I'm a person. And God didn't create me to be efficient. He created me to be alive. And aliveness that comes from joy. So here's what I'm doing now. More walks, more playlists, more puzzles, more skincare, slow mornings, late night laughs, and dressing up for no reason with nowhere to go. I don't need an excuse to enjoy my life. Joy is the reason. You want to say something? You want to add something to Mamas? I thought you got quiet. I hope you really enjoyed this episode as much as I have, and be sure to revisit when you need a reminder. Let's talk in the comments. What's one part of yourself you want to reclaim, revisit, or revitalize? And if you're walking this journey too, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who's ready to slow down and start living again. I love you, I see you, and I'll see you on the next episode.